Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday to you. I'm coming to you this morning after having come across a really beautiful podcast. Some of you know that I very much enjoy listening to the podcast On Being by Krista Tippett. And I happened to be on my elliptical machine here at home working out and finishing one podcast, and another one popped up. And it was an old recording that Krista Tippett replayed with Dr. Vincent Harding. Dr. Harding was a veteran of the civil rights movement, a close friend of Dr. King, and a professor at Iliff School of Theology, and a teacher of mine as well as a teacher of so many people. And so it was just a breath of fresh air, so beautiful to hear Dr. Harding's voice again, the calm, the focus, the kindness that he brings to everything, and it just really was a beautiful moment. But I think the content of the podcast is also really critical, and so the theme of the conversation was, is America possible? Is America possible? And I think there's so much to that question, right? And Dr. Harding was talking about how we critically need to move from this concept of civil discourse into democratic conversations and what that means. And he talked about the importance of compassion, courage, and creativity at this time of social transformation and change, which interestingly is compassion, courage, creativity are the three concepts that we're working through with the Compassion Camp curriculum that I'm working with the Sunday school students right now. So that was affirming to hear those words come up. I think there was one question that Krista asked that really prompted some deeper thinking for me. And that question Krista asked Dr. Harding, and again, mind you, this conversation was from 2016, I believe. And there was quite a bit happening in 2016, right, during a presidential cycle and so much more. But the question Krista asked Dr. Harding in this interview was, in the 60s, with such great tumult and violence, there was still a feeling of hope, great sense of hope. That doesn't seem to be the case now. What do you think about that, Dr. Harding? And he paused, but I want to read just part of his response to you. He said this. He said he did feel like there was a greater canopy of hope in the 60s, but then this is what he says about our current day. He said, I think it's not simply the matter of hope or no hope. I have a feeling that one of the deeper transformations that's going on now is that for the white community of America, there is this uncertainty growing about its own role, its own control, its own capacity to name the realities that it has moved into a realm of uncertainty that it did not allow itself to face before. And he goes on, he said, and I think that's the place that we are in. And that's even more the reason why we've got to figure out what was King talking about when he was seeing the possibility of a beloved community and realized that maybe, for some of us, that cannot come until some of us realize that we must give up what we thought was only ours in the building of a beloved nation. Can there be a beloved nation? Why don't we try and see? Why don't we try and see? And so I love that, because what he said is there really is a responsibility of white Americans right now to embrace this moment of uncertainty. There are changes. There is uncertainty, but I think so many ways I'm seeing the white response to this uncertainty is anger, fear, division, instead of embracing it more. And I think that's really Dr. Harding's challenge to us, and ultimately the challenge that Dr. King was putting before us in the building of the beloved community. And I love how they asked that question, can a beloved nation, can a beloved country be possible? Why don't we try and see? So what that has me thinking about is, as a faith community, I do think there is some responsibility to help people process this time of uncertainty. There is a moral obligation, I think, to do so, and I think we have to engage our moral creativity. And what I mean by that is, I think we cannot move forward into the future without looking at our economic structures, our political structures, that's absolutely critical. But I also think we have to have this capacity for envisioning something new, for hoping, for dreaming, for embracing those times of uncertainty and understanding that there is still a ground beneath us, a ground of being. And so I don't have all the answers this morning. This is what I'm pondering, but I do think that the response we're seeing to this time of uncertainty by the white community is dangerous. It's problematic. There is a way that we need to turn it around from that fear and anger and division into deeper conversations, deeper creativity, compassion, and courage. Creativity, compassion, and courage. We'll have to see how we can embrace those three things as a faith community for the health of our greater good. But again, can there be a beloved nation? Why don't we try and see? That's what I'm going to hold with me this morning. Why don't we try and see? What does that look like? I hope you all have a very good day. Take care.